Hi there, it's Gabriel here, SEO Manager at Hike SEO, and in this video we'll be talking about duplicate content and how to avoid hurting your search engine rankings. So what you'll learn in this video is what is duplicate content all about, why is duplicate content important, why is it important to avoid doing this even if it's unintentional. And then we'll explore two types of duplicate content that can occur, why it happens on your site as well, and how to prevent it from happening in the future. And also we'll be going through a few different tools that you can use to spot duplicate content in advance or when it has already occurred so that you can remedy that. So what is duplicate content anyways? Well, it's just that. It's content that is duplicated. It basically happens when content on or across websites is the exact same or highly similar, and that is caused unintentionally by the content creator or publisher, or because of technical reasons, or also because the content publisher is unaware of the consequences of having content that's duplicated. So Google and other search engines don't like the duplicate content for many different reasons, but primarily, and this is always their number one goal, especially for Google, is because it detracts from a high quality user experience. And we always want to give the users, the visitors on the site, the best experience possible so that they will come back over and over again. So why avoid duplicate content? Why is it so harmful to the experience? Well, it's a great question. Basically, search engines can get quite confused. And if multiple versions or variations of content is found, many search engines don't know which page or which version to index because it's up to them to decide, but they don't know which one you intend to have indexed in their search engines. And so that's when there's a high chance that they'll either index both and it'll swap back and forth, or the rankings will get hurt and they'll compete with each other, also known as keyword cannibalization, or they'll end up indexing neither, and then that's not good either. Also, it dilutes page authority. So each version or variation of the page may attract its own unique backlinks over time, and that potential page authority that is acquired from those backlinks is spread out across multiple pages rather than a single one. And so the total page authority from all these backlinks could have benefited a single page in terms of the rankings, the high rankings that it could give that page. But because it's spread out, it's kind of diluted that authority. Also, you could get outranked by a scraped version of that content. So sometimes page content gets scraped or copied by other sites without permission, or even by other web users who don't know the concept of plagiarism or copyright. So sometimes this happens. It often happens more often than you think. But if proper settings on your site aren't in place, then the other site's version of your content could end up outranking yours, which is crazy because you, let's say, created that content, took a lot of effort or resources, and someone else is benefiting from that. So let's talk about two duplicate content types. So there's the true duplicate. So this is basically content that is 100% identical or copied word for word, like copy and paste. And this can happen in several scenarios, or via cross-domain syndication, for example, news sites that take the same story but republish it on their site, or illegal scraping from other sites that copy the content and publish it as their own. And then there's near duplicate. So these are content pieces that are highly similar but only differ by small minor changes. For example, let's say there's a product page with 3 color variations and the product description pretty much remains unchanged except for the mention of color that changes. For example, a red t-shirt or a black t-shirt or a green t-shirt. They all have the same description, except when the color is mentioned, it just swaps that out. So they're near duplicates. So here's an example on Amazon. So this book here, Atomic Habits, you can see that there's different versions of the book, different formats, like a digital Kindle, you got the audio book, you got the hardcover and the paperback. However, the description of those pages is exactly the same. So there's potential there for duplicate content unless Amazon has remedied that using different methods that we'll be covering later in this video. So why duplicate content happens? So there's so many different reasons, and most of the time it's unintentional, but it can happen quite often. Firstly, content publisher ignorance. So the lack of awareness of the possible dangers of duplicate content, or through different ways of publishing content, it could be that it creates duplicates without them knowing. They may not realize that publishing the same content in multiple sections of their site or across different websites can lead to duplicate content, which has its consequences. And then there's also, well, for example, like let's say there's a healthy eating blog post and it might be published in the nutrition category, and then someone else takes that same article but publishes it in the health tips sections. And that creates two separate pages, two separate articles that now are competing for this topic of healthy eating. Then we have scraped or cloned content. So sometimes, like we just mentioned earlier, sometimes malicious websites copy content from other sources without permission, republish it as their own, and don't source it back to where they got it from. And it might be even a duplicate of all the website's content, including the text, the images, the videos, and they might publish it on their own domain. That can happen. So then we also have duplicate page paths. This can happen quite often as well. And this occurs when the same content is accessible through multiple URLs with slight variations. And this can come down to technical issues. So it could be a page ID, and you can access that page through that. Or it could be the long form slug, which is like a text description of that page. So like slash the page hyphen name, or it could be slash page ID equals 305, for example. So here we go, path A slash page 1, or it could be also accessible just directly on the level 1. Same page, but different URLs. Next, we have trailing slashes. So this happens from inconsistent URL formatting. For example, example.com slash page 1 or slash page 1 slash. So there's a slash at the end, and that's what's known as a trailing slash. URL tracking parameters. So sometimes there's different marketing and tracking parameters that are used by analytics software or affiliate platforms. So $UTM source equals Google, and that same page can be accessed by removing those tracking parameters. And these parameters are used to monitor the source of traffic and in other information. And this can potentially cause duplicate content, again, if not handled properly. Then we have functional parameters. So this is used a lot in e-commerce sites, and product listings can be sorted or filtered by various criteria, like let's say price, popularity, brand, color, size, etc. So each of the combinations of the parameters generates a unique URL, and in Google's eyes, those are different pages. Even if the products displayed or the information on that page is exactly the same, it can get confused if not handled correctly. So then we have also, for example, like example.com slash products, sort equals price. So it could be that the same products come up with a price and also with popularity. And Google will look at that, oh, it's the same products, and it will get confused which one do I show, if it shows at all. Or we have query equals health or query equals healthy. So sometimes on sites they have these internal search bars, and the search query might be, you might be searching health, or next time you search, you might search healthy, and the same articles are shown for each search. So again, that's duplicate content. So also we have, let's say, a shirt product, and we search, we filter by the color red and size equals large. But then if the parameters are reversed, like size equals large and color equals red, the same products show up, but they're two different URLs, even if they're in the different order. HTTP versus HTTPS, so non-SSL and SSL. And basically using SSL protocol is essential for security as well as SEO. I mean, Google does prefer sites that have SSL and encrypted information. But if the server or the CMS hasn't been configured correctly, both versions of those pages can load. So the page without SSL can load, and the one with SSL can load. So that can be another potential issue with duplicate content, because they're two different URLs. For example, HTTPS example.com and HTTP example.com. So then we have www and non-www pages. Some websites can still be accessed with or without a www in the URL. And for example, www.com example.com or example.com. So those two can be accessed, but it's the same content, it's just different URLs. So it's always best to choose one version of the domain and then redirect the other version to the other version. So for example, if you want to go with all the URLs on your site with the www, then redirect the non-www versions, or vice versa. So then we have the issue of staging servers, and this can happen sometimes with developers who aren't informed of the problem with duplicate content. So sometimes they use staging servers to test and develop website updates, and it's often a clone of the site and slightly different. So if these servers are unintentionally accessible, like publicly, especially through search engines, it can lead to duplicate content unintentionally. So it could be like a staging.example.com site, and then the actual live site, example.com, they can conflict with each other. Then we have homepage duplicates. So homepages might have multiple URL variations. For example, example.com, example.com/index.html, example.com/home. All of these might point to the home page, but here we see three different versions. So which one should Google return? Well, there's solutions for that we'll cover shortly, but they're all considered duplicate content. So most CMS platforms today will auto redirect the other versions, but in some circumstances, especially if it's custom site, all of them could load. So then we have case-sensitive URLs, and some web servers treat uppercase and lowercase letters differently. So you need to check to see if that is an issue. For example, example.com/page1 with a capital P and page1 with a lowercase p. So you can fix this quite easily just using a server level URL rewrite rule. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. Just talk to your web team or your developer and say that's what you need, and they'll put that into place. Printer-friendly URLs. So many sites offer printer-friendly versions of the pages, but they're different. Again, they're different URLs. So it could be page1 or page1/print. Two different sites, same content. Mobile-friendly URLs. So some sites also create separate mobile versions of their site. For example, page 1 or m.example.com. So the mobile version of that page is on the subdomain m. And same content, but again, two different pages in the eyes of Google. International pages. So sites that target different regions or countries may have separate URLs for each variation. For example, it could be page 1 is in the US or for the US audience, and page 1 also could be for the UK audience. Pretty much the same content, might be slight variations in the spelling or grammar, but two separate URLs. So in this case, you would use hreflang tags to avoid duplicate content, to inform search engines that here's two pages, same content, but one is for the UK audience, one's for the US audience. AMP URLs. So AMP stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages, and this protocol is designed to have the content load really quickly on mobile devices, especially for those with very slow networks. So some websites might have separate AMP URLs, for example, like example.com/page1 or /amp/page1. And that version, again, is a different URL and considered duplicate content unless handled correctly. So then we have tag and category pages. So CMS platforms often generate tag and category pages that include excerpts or links related to related posts. So this can result in pages with similar content, especially if the content overlaps significantly. For example, you could have a tag with tech, and then a category with technology, but the articles that show up or listed in those two pages could be exactly the same or mostly the same. So again, potential for duplicate or highly similar content. Paginated comments. So on content-heavy pages with paginated comments, with especially forums and things like this, or blog articles with comment sections that continue to multiple pages, each comment page can generate a new URL in some cases. For example, article 1, page 1, article 1, page 2. Product variations. So we hinted on this before, but on e-commerce sites, they often offer product variations like color, size, styles. So it could be like the product name, red variation, or product name, blue variation. Or it could be product and then the color equals red or color equals blue. So different ways depending on the URL structure of the website. So next is canonical tags. And these are implemented as rel equals canonical within a page's HTML head. And oftentimes if you're using a SEO plugin like Yoast or Rank Math, they automatically have a field or section where you can select the canonical page instead of having to do it manually within the HTML code. And it serves as a directive to search engines and indicates which page out of the duplicates is a preferred one for indexing, which one should be ranked or show up. And this prevents keyword cannibalization, which is basically keywords or pages competing for that same keyword in the search engines, which can hurt rankings and even lead to points where Google will actually not index those pages at all. So here's an example of a link rel canonical on a single page. And this canonical is self-referencing, meaning it's pointing to itself. And this is a common practice to use for pages that don't have duplicates. So by default, they should point to itself, just in case if there is another duplicate out there, that it won't cause any issues. So again, this prevents unintentional duplicates arising from technical issues or misconfiguration of the server or the CMS. So it's always good to do that. Most SEO plugins for WordPress or other platforms automatically have a self-referencing canonical tag. Meta tagging. So this is where you would use the robots meta tag on the pages, and this no index, this little text that goes in that meta tag prevents specific pages from being indexed by search engines. So no index basically means no, I don't want this page indexed in Google or other search engines. So here's how it looks. So this would go into the head of section of the site again. So meta name equals robots, content equals no index, and you would also have a follow or no follow text in there if you want the search engines to follow the links on that page or to not follow the links on the page. So following means they'll visit the links and the pages that are linked to those, or they won't, and they won't crawl that. So please don't use the meta tags in place of canonical tags, because this is more for pages that you don't want in search engines rather than taking care of duplicates. So if there are duplicates, please use canonical tags to do that. So meta tagging is the no index meta tag is best used for, let's say, marketing pages that you don't necessarily want on the search engines, or let's say it's a private page that's still accessible publicly, but it's not listed in the search engines. So then we have redirects. So the 301, or the permanent redirect, it's a really good solution when, let's say, URL changes or duplicates are consolidated and you're redirecting the other ones to the main page. And this ensures that the traffic and the SEO value, the link equity, the page authority, are transferred to that new page or the new URL, and that users land on that correct page instead of going to a 404 not found page. Next, we go to parameter handling. So make sure the functions on a page, such as sorting and filtering parameters, are properly configured in your CMS. So that it doesn't cause duplicate content issues. And it's always good to use these in conjunction with canonicals to prevent unintended duplicate content, because a page could have the filters, but it could also have the anchor text or the slug, the keyword rich URL version, and that could be the main page, whereas the filter parameter version of the URL, that one could be a secondary one, and that needs to be basically taken care of so it doesn't cause any duplicate issues. And so then we have pagination handling. So if not already added by default, just double check, but most of these platforms, again, do this automatically. Just make sure that the paginated content uses rel equals prev and rel equals next in the links correctly, so Google knows which one is the next page in the series and which one was a previous one in the series. And this helps search engines understand the structure of those pages and their relationship with one another. So also offer a view all page if possible. Again, this might not be possible if there's too many pages. Let's say there's like 1,000 pages. It might be too big. So only do that if you have a reasonable number of pages. Let's say like 20 or 30 or something like that, and it's not too big. Then we have robots.txt file. So this file is used to exclude specific sections of the website or specific pages from search engine crawlers. It doesn't necessarily prevent indexing, because the search engines could find those pages or those sections externally or through other links, but it does kind of discourage search engines from discovering them or from crawling those sections first. So that's the key thing to remember. It just inhibits certain crawlers from trying to find it in the first place. Then we have internal linking. So internal linking guides search engines to the preferred version of a page, especially if you use this very intentionally with certain keywords and phrases. And it's important to use descriptive anchor text to indicate significance of a linked page, what the relevance is, what it's about. Things like that can really help with telling Google which of these pages is about what and which one's the most authoritative one because of all the anchor texts that are linked to that one. And also helps to transfer page authority to that link page because the link, especially if it's a normal follow link, it will link to that. It will transfer some of that link equity over, spread that over. Now, this doesn't replace other methods, again, like canonicals to prevent duplicate content, but again, it supports them by making it super crystal clear to search engines which pages are the key ones, which ones are the pillar ones. And those often have a lot of internal links to them. href-lang tags for international. And so href-lang tags specify the language and or the regional targeting, like the country of each page. And it ensures that search engines and users are directed to the correct localized content version. So it shows up in the right search engine, in the right country, in the right language. And there's no confusion for search engines or users, and again, prevents duplicate content issues. So let's talk about some tools that you can use to discover duplicate content on your site. So firstly, you can use the free Google Search Console to easily spot duplicate content on your site. It will start flagging up potential duplicate content issues, and then you can go in and remedy that. It allows you to set the preferred domain of your site, whether it's www or non-www. But again, ideally, you have on your server level a site-wide redirect to one of those versions. Another tool is siteliner.com. It's really great. You can scan a site and flag content that is highly similar, and that will be an easy way to spot specific pieces of content that might be very similar in terms of the content that it has, or exactly the same. Now, you can also use the Hike SEO platform to automatically flag duplicate content as and when it happens, and then you can review that in the actions section. So you click on actions and it will automatically start flagging that and letting you know, so you can fix it right away. So that's where you would find it, because Hike automatically crawls your site and then it spots any potential SEO issues such as duplicate content. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any questions at all, do let me know. And if you haven't yet signed up for Hike SEO, please do so. It's a fantastic platform, all-in-one platform for SEO, perfect for the beginners, for small business owners, also for agencies who serve small businesses. And this is fantastic because it's easy to use. The information is presented in a way that's easy to learn, easy to apply, and it makes your SEO efforts a lot more fun and easy in the long run. All right, I'll see you in the next video.